Hello, friends at home. I am sitting in the classroom with your friends. Say hello, everyone. Hi. And we are getting ready to do this religion activity. So if you are here in the classroom, I will pass these materials out to you as soon as I am done explaining the activity. And if you are sitting at home, in your folder this week, I had paper clipped together this green rectangular shaped piece, and then this one that has the church and these symbols down here. So, as you know, this week in religion, we have been talking about churches, insides of churches, outsides of churches. We gather in churches, we worship in churches. And we also talked about some of the things that we would find inside of a church. And remember, I told you, boys and girls, that these symbols that you see down here, these are symbols that we could find in a Catholic church anywhere in the whole world. So it doesn't just have to be here at St. Patrick Church. It doesn't just have to be at the parish that you belong to with your family. It's any Catholic church in the whole world. It might look a little different. It might feel a little different. It might be a little bit different, but it will have these symbols, okay? So this is kind of a fun little craft / activity to help us review those symbols and also have a cute little project for you to hang up and teach other people about the church, okay? So the first thing that we do is going to be a little bit different on this because this paper that you see here, we're going to end up cutting off a lot of the pieces on there. This isn't going to be our final piece. So when you put your name on your paper, you're going to put your name on this green sheet. So we say the first thing I do is always the same. I take out my pencil and write down my name. You're going to put your name on this sheet. And you can just write it right in the back, okay? You'll be able to see it, okay? So just write your name on that sheet and then flip it over because you're going to be doing the work on the front of it. So your name is actually on the back. After you get your name on that sheet, I'm going to wait because some of my friends in the classroom are talking. I'm going to set aside my green sheet, and now I'm going to look at my white sheet. Now you notice this is the shape of a church. Did you notice that? So I have this little church shape here. And then inside the church, I have these boxes. Each of these boxes has a word that is connected to it or a label. Do you remember in our Journeys reading books earlier this week when we were talking about nouns and we labeled the different people and parts and then we drew lines to connect from the word to the picture? Do you remember doing that? We labeled the fireman and we labeled Pam and her dad and her grandma. And then we had the boys that had the baseball bat and the glove that were getting ready to go play, and we wrote the different words and labeled. That's what we're doing here. Okay, each of these words is a label for a picture that we are going to add to these squares. So this is how you're going to do this activity. You'll take your scissors, and you see this dotted line along the bottom? The first thing you should do with this white page is cut that dotted line. And remember, I always tell you, if you hold your scissors still and use your other hand to guide the paper, you're going to get much cleaner cuts. So now I'm going to go around the outside track of these symbols. I always teach you guys if you go around the outside track, it helps get rid of all the extra white scrap paper that we don't need. Okay, so I'm sticking to the outside tracks here, keeping my scissors in one place and using my other hand to guide the paper. So now I have my symbols here, nice and neat. And my scrap can go in the trash, okay? Now, here's where it gets interesting. I'm going to look at each of these pictures, and I have to figure out which of these words says the name of those pictures. So let's start with our first word here, and you'll take your pencil, and you're going to trace that word. So let's trace it, and as we trace it, let's try to sound it out, okay? So we have a C, which makes the k. Cruise. Eh. Eh. Crucifix. Anybody know what that word says? Emily? Crucifix. Now, Emily, do you remember which of these pictures is a picture of a crucifix? The second one, Jesus on the cross, is called a crucifix. So I'm going to take my scissors now and cut out that picture of Jesus on the cross. And then using my glue stick, remember I'll put the glue on the piece I'm gluing, not on the paper I'm gluing to. I'll put our glue on the back of this piece, and then we will stick it right there. So now this one says, this is a crucifix. Excellent. All right, now I'm going to go down to this next word here, and we're going to sound it out together as I trace it. Are we ready? Ambo. Ava June, what word is that? Ambo. And do you remember which one of these pictures is an ambo? This one here? Yeah, the ambo. Remember, the ambo is that special podium where they stand, and it sounds like a funny word, ambo, but that's where they stand when they read from the Bible and when the priest teaches us about his sermon for the day, the lesson that we're learning in church. So this is the ambo. It's where they stand and they lay the Bible on it. It's like a tall table that the Bible goes on, and they read from it. So I'll put my glue here on the back of my ambo, and then I will put my ambo right there. All right, now let's sound out the next word together. Are we ready? This is a soft, short A. Altar. 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 Beckett, what do you hear? Altar. And remember that sometimes we call it an altar table. So which of these pictures do you think is the altar table? Mateo?
The one that like a drum.
This one here is the altar table, okay? It's a table where the priest changes the bread and the wine into the body and the blood of Jesus. So the altar table is so special. So we'll put our altar here. And now this last one's probably going to be a little bit of a gimme, but we always read it to make sure it's the right one. So this last picture here says bap. Baptismal. Baptismal is the first word. And the second word is font. Baptismal font. What is it, Serafina? The baptismal font. Yeah, and I have one picture left, and that's exactly what this is. It's the bowl of water that they use to baptize for baptisms. Now, after you're done tracing your words and gluing your pictures on, do you see the dotted line that goes all the way around this picture? I want you to take your scissors and I want you to cut on that track. And remember, it's easiest to stay on the track if you keep your scissors in one place and you guide the paper with your other hand, okay? It just makes it easier. You get a nice cleaner cut if you do it that way. So you're going to go around the tracks and take your time. There's no race to the finish to get this cut out quickly, okay? The nicer you take your time, the better your church is going to look. So you keep going around these outside tracks until you get your church all cut out. And once you have it all cut out, let me show you what we're going to do, okay? Get that bottom nice and cut. And do you see how I'm keeping my scissors in the same place and I'm guiding the paper with my other hand. Okay, so once you have that church cut out, all these scraps that are left over are going to go either in the recycling bin or the trash can. We don't want to drop them on the floor because that just makes a mess. Okay, and then you're going to take that green paper that we had set aside, and you're going to put glue on the back of your church. And make sure, if you kind of trace around the edges, we don't want to fiddle with the middle too much. Sometimes I say just make a crisscross across it like that. Then you push it down really good, and you got to get it nice and firm on there. Make sure that it stays. You don't want it to pop off of your green paper. So give it a good rub. And then what do you think the last thing that I want you to do? Now you've got your name on the back so we know that it's yours. You've got all of your symbols traced and glued on so we know the different symbols in the church. Your church is cut out and glued onto your paper. What do you think the last thing I want you to do is? Ava June? Color it. Now, boys and girls, I colored a sample for you already because I wanted you to see the nice details that I put into these pictures, okay? I didn't just color one color over the whole church. I took my time, and I'll zoom in here close. Okay, my crucifix, you can see I drew the blood on Jesus' hands and feet, and his garments. I colored in his garments a different color in his skin, and the cross. On the altar table, I colored the different colors for the seasons, and the candles have yellow flames. The ambo is made of wood, so in this case I colored it brown. And then my baptismal font, I made it out of wood, and I put some gold on it. And then notice I colored the water inside the font blue. Okay, so I did lots of details in my pictures. So now I have this beautiful church that is filled with all of these Catholic symbols. Doesn't that look special? And boys and girls, we are each going to make one of these, and then I am going to hang them up in the hallway so that everybody that walks down our hallway in our school will get to see these beautiful pictures. Friends at home, if you would like to take a picture and upload it to Class Dojo, we can get you your points. And if you would like your picture hanging up in the hallway here at school, you can put it in your white folder and return it to school on Monday when you pick up your new materials. And we can hang yours in the hallway here as well. If you would rather hang it up at home, you are welcome to do that as well. Eventually, these will go home with all the kids here in the classroom. Okay, so I want us to really take our time on these, work hard, do nice cutting, nice handwriting, remember the steps, and we'll each have a beautiful church that we can remember all those symbols. Okay? All right, let's get started. Bye.